Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo 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 Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So the Upadesamrita, or which Srila Prabhupada translated as the Nectar of Instruction, is a book written by Srila Rupa Goswami. This book is actually very short because it's only 11 verses. So 11 verses is hardly to be called a book in a sense. But Srila Prabhupada has written lengthy purports to the book also. So then it's actually become a small book. And basically what Srila Rupa Goswami did in this verse, in 11 verses, he very quickly gives an overview of the entire process of devotional service from the initial steps to the most advanced. So in the first verse, which we're discussing that today, Vacha Vegam, Manasa Kruda Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Drapasta Vegam, Etan Vegam, Yuvisaheta Dhiram, Sarvam Abhyam, Pitivim Sasisya. We're speaking about controlling the senses. That's the first part. And in the second part, we're speaking about a person who can control the senses, which is very rare. So a person who can really control the senses is qualified to become the spiritual master of the entire world. So we're speaking about two topics, really. We're speaking about sense control, and we're speaking about Guru Tattva, about the nature of the qualifications of the spiritual master. Then in the later verses, we are actually seeing how the last verses are describing Vrindavan, because after all, Vrindavan is the land of Krishna, and our ultimate goal in spiritual life is to attain the land of Krishna, to be with Krishna. We are here in this world, we are in Canberra now, and some may call it home, but of course that is an illusion. Canberra can never be home. No matter how long you'll be here, Canberra will never be home. Even if you built yourself a big house, it still will not be home. Because only Vrindavan can be home. Only the place where Krishna resides can be home. Of course we can bring Vrindavan to Canberra by invoking the presence of Vrindavan in Canberra. That we can do. But then we're not in Canberra anymore. Then we're in Vrindavan. So really Vrindavan is home, and Canberra a place we visit. And any place other than Vrindavan is such a place. So in the final verses we find a description about Vrindavan, and it describes Govardhan Hill, and then it describes holier still than Govardhan Hill is Radhakund. So in this way we find that Rupa Goswami is taking us through the whole process of devotional service, and from the initial steps of controlling the senses and taking shelter of a spiritual master, and then gradually becoming from Kanista, or a devotee with weak faith, a devotee who is a prakrita bhakta, a devotee who is holding on to material things for happiness. By nature, every living being is looking for happiness. Anandamaya pyasat, that is the nature of the living being. We're looking for happiness. Everyone. And we just think we find it in different things. When you're a kid, you think your happiness is in toys. When you're an adult, or in food, maybe. When you're an adult, you think your happiness is in money and in possessions and so on. So wherever we think that happiness is, that is where our faith will take us. So the Kanista Adhikari is thinking that his happiness is in the material energy, and then develops a little faith in Krishna also. So the Kanista is always thinking, oh, this material world, there are so many amazing things. There are so many things that are so sweet in this material world. How can we give them up? No. How can I ever do this? So this is the difficulty, that in the beginning we are kanista, we are weak, we have our attachment to the material things. It's so strong. And we want Krishna also, but we believe these material things will bring us happiness. Of course, the Madhyam Adhikari, later on in the Nectar of Instruction, we come to the Madhyam Adhikari. Madhyam Adhikari has no faith in the material energy. Madhyam Adhikari has no faith in the material world. He says, no, even if you have all the money of the world, even if you marry the most famous, the most wonderful person, still it is not satisfying. Just like there is one famous model who goes by the name of Cindy Crawford, and they were advertising a beauty cream, and it said, even Cindy Crawford doesn't look like Cindy Crawford in the morning. Which is, I thought it was good, very good advertisement, really smart, no? To the point. Yeah, that's the material world. So the Madhyam Adhikari, the intermediate devotee, doesn't put his faith in these things. The Kanista does put his faith in these things. The Madhyam Adhikari puts his faith in Krishna. Happiness will come from Krishna. So that is advanced. So somewhere in the middle of the book, that change comes from Kanista to Madhyam. Now we are discussing the Kanista platform. So as I said, Vacha Vegam, Manasa Kruda Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udra Pasta Vegam, Etam Vegam, Yuvisa Heta Dhiram, Sarvapimam, Pitivim Sasishyat. So Vega means the urge, or the pushings of the senses. So there's Vacha Vegam, the pushing of speech. I have to do it. I'm not allowed to say anything. For how long? For how long? For how long can we be quiet? Then we'll speak. But, not just anything. No, it has to be beneficial. Speak about this rubbish and that rubbish. It is said that, according to the Bhagavatam, it is said that everything is about question and answers. It is all about question and answers, the whole world. Prabhupada gives the example in the marketplace, how much, is this a good quality, what are the ingredients actually of this, and what is the difference between this one and that one, why is that one more expensive? One model is only half the price, other model is more. Why? So many questions, do you love me? So many questions, how much money you got? So many questions. Yes, what can we say? That is the nature of the material world. Even the animals, same things. The birds are singing in the morning, and basically it's like, tweet, tweet. Where are you? Tweet, tweet. I am here. Yeah, like this, Tweet. Good things to eat. Basically, these are the conversations going on. It's like, it's not just these birds are sitting in the tree and making just noise. No. They're not just making noise. There is a language. Right? All animals have a language. Krishna happens to speak the language of all the animals, so it is stated. Right? So, yes, they are communicating. And basically, questions and answers. Questions and answers. So speech is based on questions and answers. No. And yes, I'll read a little bit from Srila Prabhupada's purport. In Srimad Bhagavatam 6.1.9.10, Parikshit Maharaj placed a number of intelligent questions before Sukadeva Goswami. One of these questions was, why do people undergo atonement if they cannot control their senses? For instance, a thief may know perfectly well that he may be arrested for his stealing, and he may actually even see another thief arrested by the police, yet he continues to steal. Experience is gathered by hearing and seeing. One who is less intelligent gathers experience by seeing, and one who is more intelligent gathers experience by hearing. When an intelligent person hears from the law books and shastras or scriptures that stealing is not good, and hears that a thief is punished when arrested, he refrains from theft. A less intelligent person may first have to be arrested and punished for stealing to learn to stop stealing. However, a rascal, a foolish man, may have the experience of both hearing and seeing, and may even be punished, but still he continues to steal. Even if such a person atones and is punished by the government, he will again commit theft, and as soon as he comes out of jail. If punishment in jail is considered atonement, what is the benefit of such atonement? So, learning by hearing, learning by experience, and learning and not learning at all. Basically these three, right? So we have all three. Some things we learn by hearing, but many things we have to learn by experience. And some things we just don't learn at all. That is our situation. So in this way, we are getting a clear example here from Srila Prabhupada. And basically, Prabhupada is trying to bring us to the point of learning by hearing, not learning by experience. No. Learning, experiential learning is modern, but not recommended. You see this like advertisement for experiential learning, and you see a rhino running in the street and it bangs into a bus, and the whole bus is shaking and all these school kids are sitting inside. Experiential learning. No, that's different than the classroom, where everything is boring and dry, and they just like tell you how powerful the rhinos are, sleep right through it. But when you're in the bus and the rhino attacks your bus, and your bus is standing on two wheels, then you believe in the power of the rhino. So yes, nowadays it is the age of experiential learning. If we are not experiencing, then we can't take it. Hearing, learning by hearing has now become obsolete almost. Nobody hears anymore. And even if you hear, sleep through it and learn nothing. And it has to be through experience that we are actually sort of, okay, got the point. And then you've got the cases that never learn. It's the honest. Okay, so Parikshit Maharaj inquired, Drista Sutabhyam Yat Papam Janana Pyat Manohitam Karuti Yo Vivasaha Priyashitam Madhakratam Kvachin Nivartate Madrat Kvachit Charati Tat Puna Prashitam Atu Partam Manye Kunjara Surjavat. Okay, we remember this Kunjara Surjavat. The Kunjara means the elephant. The elephant's bathing. He takes a bath and then he throws dust all over him. So Parikshit Maharaj compared atonement to an elephant's bathing. The elephant may take a very nice bath in the river, but as soon as it comes onto the bank, it throws dirt all over its body. What then is the value of its bathing? Similarly, many spiritual practitioners chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and at the same time commit many forbidden things. thinking that their chanting will counteract their offenses. Of the 10 types of offenses one can commit while chanting the holy name of the Lord, this offense is called namnabala, yasi papa buddhi, committing sinful activities on the strength of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. So, there's a story that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur were traveling in Bengal. And in the evening, they came to one village, and it was getting dark. I mean, no torch lights, nothing, no phones, just dark was dark. So as it was getting dark, they were looking for a place to stay for the night. So they saw an abandoned temple somewhere outside the village. So they said, okay, we'll just stay there for the night, clean it a bit and stay there. And so they stayed there, and then early in the morning, as it was getting light, they proceeded and walked into the village. So the villagers said, suddenly these people, these strangers, arrive early in the morning. So they said, where did you come from? Where did you stay for the night? So they said, oh, we stayed at this abandoned temple at the edge of the village. He said, no, you stayed there. So no, nobody can stay there. In that temple there is a very powerful ghost, a Brahma Rakshasa. So everyone was amazed. He said, you had no problems? He said, oh, yes, there was some entity that came in the night, yes. But we just chanted the holy name, and then it disappeared. I said, no, but how is this possible? We know very well who this ghost is. This is the ghost of the Pujari. Oh, that Pujari. He was such a rascal. Oh, any nonsense you can imagine, he did. But, you said he left while you were chanting Hare Krishna. But I tell you one thing, this Pujari was always chanting Hare Krishna. He was always chanting Hare Krishna. So, how is it possible that you could chase him away with chanting Hare Krishna? So then, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta explained and said that, yes, that Pujari was chanting Hare Krishna, but at the same time, he was committing so many sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. And as a result, Krishna withdrew himself from the name. And all that was left was just the shell, just the word. But Krishna was no longer in it. So he was chanting Hare Krishna, but Krishna was not present. He had just withdrawn himself. But when one chants the holy name and one actually follows standards of purity, yes, then Krishna is present. Then in the presence of Krishna, Krishna Suryasan, Maya Hayandika, wherever Krishna is present, Maya cannot remain. Therefore, this ghost could not remain. Like that. So in this way, they explain it. So that's interesting. So Srila Prabhupada's point is to be taken that an effort has to be made. When we speak about controlling the senses, we cannot expect that one day we wake up and it's done. You just wake up one day and all the senses are controlled. Amazing. I just woke up this morning and I had no more material desire. My senses, I did not feel anything, nothing, no desire. Prabhu, no desire, nothing. I wanted nothing of this world, nothing. Only Krishna. And that doesn't sound so convincing. And how long will it last? That is not so easy. No, to actually really conquer the senses, one has to make a sacrifice. So this verse is calling for a sacrifice. It speaks about Vajavegam, controlling the urge of speech, Manasavegam, the mind. Mind's all over the place, mind. Anger, now it's enough. Jiva Vegam, the tongue, the belly, the genitals, all these pushings are there. Difficult to control, very difficult. So like this, we see these senses, and the sense control can only be done through a sacrifice. It is only in a very advanced stage of Krishna consciousness that we will no longer experience the influence of Maya. That we will no longer experience the pushings of the senses. But these senses, we can be following everything strictly. We may be able to recite many slokas. We may be an experienced devotee, but controlling the senses is difficult. But then again, Rupa Goswami says we may wear saffron clothes, we may perform austerity, we may give in charity, but all these things cannot help us to overcome lust. Said, but when we get absorbed in devotional service, then we can overcome lust. So that is a fact. I mean, we're seeing that this movement is unique in one sense. It is unique in the sense that it's not just enough to make some offering to the Lord. There are many temples where the essence is make some offering and get some blessings. Basically. I mean, that's the function of many temples. Go, make some prayer, make some offering to the Lord. So you come in, you ring the bell very loud, ding, 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 I'm here. And then, okay, you do a big prayer. You have to know how to do it, to practice. Something dramatic. Then stand full of devotion in front of the deity for a long time. And then, some blessing is there. That was it. We came for the blessing. But no, that is not what, that will not help. One cannot control the senses simply through that process. If we want to control the senses, then we have to do a lot more. Then we have to make a sacrifice, perform austerity. Then we have to put the senses of the Lord before our own senses. Sarvapadi vinir muktat tat paratvena nirmanam rishikena rishikesam sevanam bhakti uchate. That one should first of all give up attachment to external designations. Oh, you know, I am a Gujarati. Gujarati. That is very nice. That is very nice. But I am from Maharashtra. Tukaram. Like that, everyone can take pride in his position, in his birth. Yeah. I'm from Australia, you know. Australia. Lots of, you know. Yeah, Australia, you know, the cream is like, you know, so thick you don't even need to fluff it up anymore. It just comes like whipped cream straight out of the cows, you know. Yeah, fairly. But we got brown cows, they give chocolate cream, you know. And white cows, they give the white cream. And sweet like anything, isn't it, Yojidai? Is it?
Oh yeah.
There you go. See? That's Australia for you. Yeah. I mean, you know. When I came to Australia after having lived in India for many years, and somehow or another 1 year I got malaria bad. 12 times in 1 year I got malaria. And malaria, if you have experience with malaria, it takes at least 2 weeks to get over it, you know, if you take the medicine straight away. So okay, one time shiver, then a day nothing, next day again, same time as the first day. Shivers, fever, shaking, all right, you know. Pop the pills, right? I popped the pills and then, okay, I did it. But then in one fever you could lose 10 kilos, you know, just like that, you know. One fever you lose 10 kilos. So if you want to lose weight, I'll tell you where to go. Get stung by the mosquitoes, you'll be alright. 10 kilos in one fever, there you go. Anyway, so I came to Australia in 1984 and I was thin and I was weak from all the malaria. I came to Melbourne and the first thing I saw was that the sparrows in Australia were twice as fat as in India. I knew I had come to the right place. Yeah. So it worked for me also. Yes. Anyhow, so controlling the senses is a sacrifice. It is a tapasya. Only the self-realized soul, you know, who is liberated, a liberated soul, doesn't need to control the senses. His senses are automatically drawn to Krishna. Right? There's the story of Uddhava. It's interesting. Uddhava suddenly got attracted to this young girl. Uddhava said, what's happening to me? I'm getting attracted to this young girl just as much as I'm attracted to Krishna. I think it's Krishna dressed up like a young girl. And it was. That's Uddhava. Other men are a little different. Yeah. Even when they chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So then one has to control the senses. Yes. One has to. And therefore we have an institution like marriage, where we say, one man accept one wife accept one husband. In this way, controlled, senses controlled. Mind may not be controlled. Mind may still sometimes drift elsewhere, but no, this is. We also must control that. So this is in spiritual life also the case. So we should not think that spiritual life is just going to be easy. And just think, oh well, you know, don't come and say, you know, I'm chanting Hare Krishna, but it doesn't work. No, it doesn't work. I am chanting like anything, every day. I'm chanting too much, 16 rounds every day, I'm chanting minimum. Some days more, but it doesn't work because my senses are still attacking me. Yeah, and that's what's supposed to be. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll have to keep on chanting. We'll have to go through these attacks of the senses, and gradually get purified until we come to very advanced stages. Then. Okay, then we get the higher taste, and then the material desires will diminish. But, you know, that's advanced. Yeah, so Srila Prabhupada speaks quite a bit about this atonement and how we are trying to atone for our sinful activities, but atonement doesn't work. Atonement doesn't work. Prabhupada gives the Christian example, who are confessing sins, but that doesn't work. It doesn't take away the sinful desire. Then it is mentioned in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where this matter is discussed between Sukadeva Swami and Maharaj Pariksit. And there it is said, Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayana agam dunvanti karsneya niharam iyabaskara. It is said that one must be completely absorbed in devotional service to Vasudeva. Vasudeva Parayana, only devotional service, nothing else. Kechit kevalaya bhaktya, keval, keval, only. So only devotional service. Then agam dunvanti karsneyena, then Krishna will remove the sinful desires from the heart, just as fog disappears under the influence of the sun rays. So in this way, that will happen. In other words, what is discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam is that only that one can perform atonement, prayaschita, one can engage in a sinful activity and then do some tapasya, then give something in charity, do some sacrifice to counteract the sinful tendency. So, but it helps a bit, but it doesn't take away the root of the sinful desire. So only devotional service will take away that root of sinful desire. So to become actually Vacha Vegam Manasa Koda Vegam Jira Vegam Udra Pasta Vegam Etan Vegam Risa Etan Ira Sarvam Apikam Piktivim Sasisya, to actually become free from these things, one must absorb in devotional service. So in the beginning, it is all about quantitatively, somehow or other doing more service. In the Srimad Bhagavatam Savai Pumso Parudamo Yato Bhaktira Dokshaje Aitaki Apatiyata Yatna Supersedati. There it is described that we engage in devotional service, which is Aitaki Apatiyata. It is unmotivated and uninterrupted. So we're doing devotional service only to please Krishna and not to get anything else from it. So that is, and we're not interrupting it. So in our case, there may be also some other things. I don't like this devotional service, but I only like that devotional service. See, what we're trying to do is we're trying to satisfy our senses. We're trying to satisfy our senses within the boundaries of Krishna consciousness. So okay, we accept, yes, I must follow this Krishna conscious standards. And now I must do devotional service, okay. So now I'm looking for a devotional service that fully satisfies my mind and senses, and then, that's what I'm looking for. But that's very difficult to find. So just to basically Krishna's pleasure and my own pleasure combined. That's what I'm looking for. And everyone's looking for that. So I'm looking for my niche, looking for my place. But no, it must. So that is the stage where the senses are still pushing a lot. We'll only become free from all this pushing if we actually Rishikena Sevanam Bhakti Uchite. If we are focused on satisfying Krishna and don't care anymore what we get in exchange. What is there for me? No, that one has to let go. But as long as you think, well, I want this, I want that. Oh Krishna, please, help us, oh Krishna. No, let us help Krishna. not Krishna help us. What can we do to help Krishna? Krishna in this world is trying to bring all people to devotional service, to spiritual life. So there we can help. Bring other people to the temple. Give people a book. Somehow or other give Krishna to people. First one must control his speaking power. Every one of us has the power of speech. As soon as we get an opportunity, we begin to speak. If we do not speak about Krishna consciousness, we speak about all sorts of nonsense. A toad in a field speaks by croaking, and similarly, everyone who has a tongue wants to speak, even if all he has to say is nonsense. The croaking of the toad, however, simply invites the snake. Please come here and eat me. There is a nice drawing in Bengal, and the drawing shows a frog that's already half eaten by a snake. And you know, the snake is swallowing the whole frog, right? Not taking a bite of the frog, but rather put its whole mouth around, and the mouth stretches and then goes all the way around the frog. So the head of the frog was still sticking up. And then a little fly came by in the tongue of the frog, trying to catch the fly. Who's the frog? The snake. I'll tell you who's the snake. The snake is the snake of time. Who's the frog? Ayojadev says that he is the frog. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you tonight Ayojadev is revealing his swarup. He is our local frog.
He's not alone. He's not alone.
He's not alone. There are more. Well, the person next to him has a green kurta, so that kind of gives him away. Looks pretty froggy. Yes. Anyway, yes. So we are being swallowed by that snake, and only the head is out and still trying to enjoy flies. So this is the picture. Yes. So to actually speak about Krishna, that is not so simple. We just don't do it. It's funny, you know. We read about it, and then we don't do it. Right? When we meet each other, we don't do it. We don't speak about Krishna. We speak, so how are you? How's this? How's that? How's work? How's the trouble and strife? How's everything? You know. And then, right? And that's it, you know? Right. Yeah, the mind is very restless. Prabhupada speaks about the restlessness of the mind. So he says, somehow or other the mind must always think of Krishna. So therefore we must hear about Krishna. So we must hear a lot about Krishna. I'm not gonna, you told me to do it in 40 minutes. I told you I'll try, but I can't promise it. So I'm almost through the purport. I'm not even reading it. I'm just paraphrasing it. She gave me a little time. Okay, so somehow or other, by hearing, the mind becomes engaged in Krishna, in remembering Krishna. But said, yeah, we can't hear all day. I know someone who just always has a book. Always has a book in front of his nose. He even once became a temple president. And he's sitting there in the office of the temple president with a book in front of his nose. And he go, Prabhu, huh? Prabhu? Yeah, Prabhu, are you there? Yeah. Prabhu, can we use the car? Yeah. Okay. Prabhu? Huh? What? Where's the key? Over there. Okay. And then, Babu, where's the car? Huh? So, he's always reading. Whenever he was awake, he's reading. Always a book under his nose. He would walk out in the rain sometimes, and he had a plastic sheet over the book. Could even read while walking in the rain. He would go on Hare now, but he'd have a book in the gong. He had a big gong, extra big size, have a book inside, and just sort of play the gong like this while reading the book. Just always reading. So is this what we all should do? Is this the solution? Folks, are you reading? Should we always read like this? What do you think? Please.
I can't focus this long.
But should we? Should you really do it?
Not good when you're driving.
He was driving also. Had the book a little bit up on the desk.
No, that's too much.
Better you do what the book says.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There are e-books which are read out.
I hear you, but I don't see you. Where are you? Yeah. Yes.
I was saying there are e-books available these days which are read out to you while you're driving, if you want to.
Yeah. No, he was doing that also. Audio books and all these things. Yes. So is that the solution? No, it's not just that. It is also that we, when we act for Krishna, then we'll also remember Krishna. When we clean Krishna's temple, then we also clean our heart and we also remember Krishna. When we are collecting for Krishna, then we also think about Krishna's temple. When whatever we do, for Krishna, makes us remember Krishna. And when we work all the time for Krishna, then even if you have some job, right? Prabhupada gives the example, a young man, he's in love, so much in love, he's thinking of this girl and he wants to buy this ring. It's an expensive ring, it's going to take a whole week of salary. So the whole week he's working, thinking about the girl and about the ring. And after he finally gets his money, a whole week's money goes into the ring. So the whole week he thought of the girl, like this. So in the same way, if we work for Krishna, then we think of Krishna always, even while working. This question always comes, how can work, balance work and Krishna consciousness? Just work for Krishna. Give. See, yeah, but something we have to give to our family also. All right, but then only Krishna Prasad, not Kellogg's cornflakes. Right? Then only what is offered to Krishna. Right? And then in that house, no Maya, because it's Krishna's house now. Otherwise you're not using your money for Krishna. So the whole house has to be then a holy place. Otherwise, if they allow any little Maya in your house, then you're not spending your money on Krishna. Then you will not remember Krishna. Then the mind will not be controlled. Alright, Srila Prabhupada is talking about tolerance. To control anger, he's speaking about tolerance. And how. So yes, we need tolerance. And that one has to practice. You're not. So, Bhishmadev says, if you want to overcome anger, you have to learn to forgive. Right? So we are very good in forgiving ourselves. I mean, how could you break that car? How could you smash it? No, it's like, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. There was, really, I couldn't do anything about it. There was some idiot on a bicycle making swerving, and I had to, get on the road to save the life of that person. And that's why I smashed it into the wall. You know, actually, you know, I saved a kid's life. Yeah, should get a medal. You know, right? Isn't it? A Yojide. You should get a medal for saving that child's life. Yeah, right. You agree? Dr. Frog agrees. Alright, that's good. Good, thanks for that. So anyway, for myself, I find so many reasons to forgive him. But if it's a Yojide who comes and tells me the story, you know, well, the tree jumped on the road, you know, I don't know what to do, just jumped in front of the car. Yeah. I mean, I remember that once I was in Radhadesh, and the temple president asked me to come in his office, and he asked me if I had ever had a car and an insurance on the car, and if I had ever had any accident. I said, no. He said, you have a clean insurance record. I said, yes. He said, oh great, we have this car, it needs to be insured, and you know, can you, we were in Belgium, can you drive this car over the border? Because there the insurance is much cheaper. It was only an hour's drive over the border. It was Ecstatic though. They say Ecstatic is not a good day for travel. Well, and also, I didn't sleep that much that day. Anyway, I went off with the BMW that someone had just donated to the temple to drive it across the border. And I didn't sleep for long. It was maybe a fraction of a second. And then suddenly there was this car in front of me, and it had stepped on the brakes. So I also stepped on the brakes, but it was a bit too late. And I smashed into the back. The man came out of his car, starts crying, my car, my car, my car. I said, are you all right, sir? I mean, like nothing, you know, everything is still on there, everything fine. I said, fortunately, you are not injured, you know. Fortunately, it's only your car. Then he started again, my car, my car, my car. Anyway, so he cried a lot, but not as much as the temple president when I called him up. I don't know what to do. But, so when somebody else does, we get very upset. How could you smash the car? And when we smashed the car, well, what could I do? You know, I know, but I was tired, and you know, you just asked me, and I slept only 5 hours, and you never really, you know, gave me a chance to rest before you wanted to. So there were extenuating circumstances. We can always forgive ourselves, and we can't forgive others. So we must learn to forgive others. If we can forgive others, then we can tolerate. But if we cannot forgive, then we can never tolerate. Then we'll harbor a grudge, an anger. And that anger can stay with us deep inside for a long time. I'm almost finished, eh? I'm doing good, eh? Right. Urges of the tongue, yeah, well, we chant this prayer, our favorite prayer. What is our favorite prayer? Tell me.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you. What's your favorite prayer?
Tough question, Prabhu. Maharaj,
Okay.
forgive me.
Koi baat nahi. Okay. I'll let you off the hook then, eh? What's your favorite prayer? Yeah.
Rita Suru's prayers, 6th canto.
Okay.
All right.
What's your favorite prayer?
Narasimharti.
Okay. And yours?
I'm like 4.2.
What? Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah.
Okay. 4.2.
That's
Huh? 12?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a great variety of favorite prayers here. But there's one favorite prayer that is the favor of everybody. You know, when that one is chanted, everyone gets jolly. Sarira. We chant that with so much joy. You know? So it's one of the happiest moments. It's a very happy prayer. And let me just sing the translation for you for a moment. The senses are a network leading to death. That's what the basic chanting. With great joy and great happiness, we're singing about the senses, a network leading us to death. And of all these senses, the tongue is most voracious to control. But somehow or other, we have this nice Mahaprasada, which is the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityayam. Therefore, that helps us. So yes, we must somehow or other control the tongue by taking Krishna Prasada. That's why when someone gets involved with Krishna consciousness and they don't want to eat, doesn't look good. They probably are not gonna make it. Many people come, few people stay. That is... Oh.
So no problem about it.
Okay.
That's
No, it's fine. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Help him out, Lord. Calm down. Relax.
No, I have a neuromuscular. Please forgive me.
No, it is fine. But just take some deep breaths. Pranayama.
Sir, Maharaj.
Some pranayama. Breathe in, breathe out. Slowly. Really, it helps. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out slowly. You don't believe me? I know these things. You think I don't know?
They were talking about prasad, I can't help it. just a sense of humor, all good.
Yes. There's no embarrassment. It's okay. Yes. Yeah, okay, so we see here that in order to control the senses, that we have to engage them. Controlling the senses by just becoming inactive doesn't work. The whole answer that we get is we have to engage the senses in connection with Krishna. The eyes in seeing the deity, the legs in going to the temple, the tongue in tasting prasadam. Engage the senses in the service of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada says, yes, then the urges of the genitals, the sex impulse can be controlled when not used unnecessarily. The genitals should be used to beget a Krishna conscious child. Otherwise they should not be used. The Krishna conscious movement encourages marriage, not for the satisfaction of the genitals, but for begetting of Krishna conscious children. As soon as the children are a little grown up, they're sent to our Gurukul school where they're trained to become fully Krishna conscious devotees. Many such Krishna conscious children are required, and one who is capable of bringing forth Krishna conscious offspring is allowed to utilize his genitals. Okay, this is the ideal. Reality may somewhere be on the way. You know, we may not fully realize all this, but this is what we're striving for, to come to this standard. So Prabhupada is setting a high standard. And nowadays, we don't hear that so often anymore. But this was Prabhupada's standard. Some people say, well, you know, whatever in marriage is fine. But here Srila Prabhupada is quite specific and setting a very high standard, because Srila Prabhupada did not want to water down. He didn't want a watered down version of Krishna consciousness. He wanted pure devotional service, not diluted devotional service. So that, therefore, the sex impulse has to be dealt with. Now, again, when we get very much absorbed in devotional service, then gradually our field of interest shifts. Right? Instead of just being so focused, It's like they have this old joke, which is, grandfather, what are you thinking of? Sex. He said, at your age? He said, I'm always thinking of sex. So this is the material world. How much this is on the mind, in a subtle way. You know these posters, maybe, where it says, in the big letters it says sex, and then under it in small letters it says, now that I have your attention. Yeah. This is a smart poster. Yeah. So what can we do? It is like that. But when we are getting more and more involved in service to Krishna, yeah, then it goes in the background and gradually disappears. It takes time. So it is a very, very long purport with a lot of technical things. But the principle I have described. And the essence is really to engage our senses to bring more Krishna in our life. Prabhupada writes a letter to a schoolboy. And in his letter he says, the boy had written him a letter and said that he was studying mathematics. So Prabhupada said, oh, you're studying mathematics. 5 plus 5 is 10. 2 plus 2 is 4. And everything plus Krishna is Vrindavan. That's Prabhupada's mathematics. Everything, just add Krishna, and you're suddenly in the spiritual world. So we have to add Krishna everywhere. More Krishna, add more Krishna. So wherever in life we are not in Vrindavan, add more Krishna. Just add more Krishna. And in the end, we'll wind up in Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, everyone is simply thinking of the pleasure of Krishna and not of personal pleasure. So that is the trick. So yes, and then once you have controlled the senses, then it says you are qualified to make disciples all over the world. Well, then there are Diksha gurus, Siksha gurus, whatever it is. But then we can bring people. We can bring people to this book. And we should. And the more we do so, the more we focus on giving others mercy, the less we care about the senses. The less we will, then it's no longer, how do I control them, how do I control these senses? When we are deeply absorbed in becoming an instrument of mercy, giving mercy to others, then the senses can't be bothered by these things. Any questions, any comments?
This is one prayer by Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Gopinath, where he prays to Krishna that, my dear Lord, I cannot control my senses, but you are Hrishikesh, the master of the senses. You please control my senses and pull me out of this world of dangers. Mm-hmm. So it seems like one could utilize that prayer and say, like, well, it's not up to me. It's up to Krishna. So what would your response?
Krishna is all attractive. Yeah. So as Krishna is all attractive, he attracts, like a magnet attracts iron. So if we allow ourselves to be attracted by Krishna, by exposing ourselves to Krishna, then we'll be attracted. If we keep the iron away from the magnet, then it won't get attracted to the magnet. So we must simply explore, find out about Krishna, and we'll become attracted to Krishna. So in that way the senses will become controlled. There's no doubt about it. It works, and it's amazing. We see that over the years, actually, it starts to happen to people. It's not just to a few, but to practically all devotees. Right? Over time, it works. In the beginning, it's a struggle, but over time, it works. It just starts to work. It's just start to. Because we become attracted to Krishna. You know? Become attached to serving. That service will save us. Excuse me. Yeah.
How come the first verse, Rupa Swami is just talking about sense control in order to become a guru? He has not spoken anything about devotional service or absorption in Krishna. So much importance is given to the sense control.
Yeah. It's the foundation. Yeah. Just you can see that Prabhupada gives 4 regulative principles. No meat, fish, eggs, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. Basically sense control. And then chant Hare Krishna. Because otherwise we start to commit sinful activities. Senses uncontrolled, then that means sinful activities. A lot of people, they want a better quality of life, but they can't. They have a bad habit, and they do it again and again. They know they shouldn't be doing it. Yeah.
It's often said that consciousness and devotion and service for the Lord should not be for material gain. And yet, in every Ecstatic katha, almost, we talk about material gain. So why is so?
In every Ecstatic we talk about material gain?
Yeah, so the katha itself talks about material gain.
It depends which scripture we are reading from, I guess. There is, in the Karma Kanda, yes, there is material gain in the Ekadasis or other vratas, other vows that are taken. You perform this vrat, you get long life, you perform this vrat, you get so many benefits. All mundane benefits. This is Karma Kanda. But there is also description that Ekadasi is meant for the purpose of deepening our relationship with Hare. Right? And that is not meant for any other benefit. That the real benefit is Ekadasi is to strengthen our relationship with Hare. So that is the Vaishnava understanding of Ekadasi. To strengthen our relationship with Hare. So therefore Ekadasi, we're fasting or eating light, and we are increasing our chanting and our hearing to deepen our relationship with Hare. It's called Naimitika Kriya. Nitya Kriya, Naimitika Kriya. Nitya Kriya, everyday spiritual practice. Naimitika Kriya, exceptional, increased spiritual practice. So Ekadasi is for that. Make a special sacrifice in hearing and chanting. Then our relationship with Hare increases. Yeah.
You briefly said that you can overcome anger by forgiveness. What does that exactly mean, and how do you truly understand when you have forgiven someone?
In order to forgive, we have to, it is easier if we can recognize human frailty in ourselves. If we see that we are also full of weakness and faults and make mistakes, then it's easier to forgive the weakness of others. If we think, I'm perfect, I'm faultless, then, how can you tolerate mistakes from others? So if we are humble and see that we are not so great ourselves, then we also can see, yes, we're all struggling, we're all trying, nobody is perfect, everyone makes a mistake, all right, I made a mistake, but what to do? You know, life goes on. You try again in this way, but a mistake becomes unforgivable if you think you never make a mistake. So, therefore, humility and honesty about our own shortcomings is a prerequisite. That helps. Then we can forgive, and we can also forgive when we understand the eternal position of a person. If we actually see things as they are, and we see that a person is an eternal spirit soul, and somehow or other this person has become covered over, and the covering is not very nice, but this person can become purified. So let's focus on that. Let's not focus on the disease. Let's make him healthy. Somehow or other, let's make him healthy.
And just an extension of the question, if the person whom we are forgiving, if that he or she makes mistakes, again and again, so what should we be doing?
Now we have to be very tolerant. I also experienced that. Some people really drive you to a point where you have to be very tolerant. So we have to learn to become more tolerant. Some people, they are slow learners. But oftentimes we can also look a little deeper and we can find a cause for it also. Like there was one boy, he was not behaving very nice. And everyone was saying, this boy is a real bad character. But then when they looked a little deeper, then they found out he lost his mother at a very young age. I said, no wonder. Then we understand. He's still digesting that. He hasn't digested it. Therefore, he has actually a problem. That's all. So oftentimes you can see how the perpetrators, the troublemakers, are actually also victims of something through which they became that. So that helps to at least be a bit more forgiving and a bit more tolerant if you can see the cause. In principle, everyone is good. It's only due to circumstances that people become bad. Now, that's easy to say when you deal with, but when you deal with Hiranyakasipu, it becomes a little more difficult. But then again, a very powerful devotee can even make turn demons into devotees. So we are not so powerful. So maybe when we come across a very powerful miscreant, then we keep some distance. But that is because we lack in advancement. If we are very advanced, then we can try and deliver everyone. But in our case, our tolerance, our forgiveness, some we forgive from a distance. We pray. So sometimes we have to take a distance from some people.
So you're saying to keep some distance if you can't, if you're trying in the path of forgiving, then keep some distance.
Yeah, keep some distance. Yeah. But that's due to our lack of advancement.
Yes.
Okay, what to do?
Maharaj, can we throw into that mix these strategies and ways of looking at forgiveness that sometimes we hear that, we can think, well, actually this person might be acting as an agent of my karma or something like that, and Krishna is correcting me through this person, and to sort of see that, actually not to react because we're going to make this ourselves more implicated in this situation, and to actually accept and understand that Krishna is kindly giving me this lesson. Very hard to do.
Yeah, no, there's truth to that, absolutely. I was in Vrindavan and there was a dog. It was very hot, so this dog was not sleeping so far away from the hand pump. Right? And this little girl comes. She fills up her whole water pot, you know, big brass pot with water. And then suddenly she turns it upside down on the sleeping dog. And that dog almost drowned, you know, there was like water coming everywhere out of this dog. And I'm watching this situation, this dog just really, and I was thinking, maybe the girl is simply here to help him burn up a little more karma. And maybe the super soul just inspired her, you know, to sort of throw this water or whatever it was. So it's sometimes it's both. Maybe the girl is misbehaving and yet she is getting the, she's also acting as an agent of purification. Philosophically speaking, there are two causes. That is the ultimate cause and the immediate cause. So the immediate cause may be the girl that throws the water on the head of the dog. But that's not the ultimate cause. The ultimate cause is ultimately Krishna. For whatever happens, the ultimate cause is ultimately Krishna. So Krishna has sanctioned this. And then in the case of a devotee, Krishna is directly managing a devotee's life. So what is Krishna trying to teach us? So if anything happens to us, we always have to, we don't think about, why did this person do this to me? No, just think, you know, okay, what does Krishna want? Why does this happen? What does Krishna want me to learn from this? That is the proper attitude. So look for the deeper cause, not for the immediate cause. Okay, done. Yeah. Open. Oh, you want to sell CDs? I can do that too.
Okay.
I made a CD. I make one every year. And I'm doing that to enter into your house, right? With kirtan. Because physically, what can I do? You know, I have only one body. And I don't have mystic power either. Yogis, they can multiply their bodies and take like many bodies at the same time. And if I could do that, I know exactly what I would be doing. Wow. One body would be always sleeping, and the other, you know, and the other bodies would be like totally busy doing all kinds of things. Right? But I'm not such a powerful yogi, so therefore I make CDs. Now CDs are going out, I know. This is the last time we do it in a CD form. And we're going to make more updated systems. I also don't have a CD drive, but still I brought a whole bunch of them. And if you like, you can help us purchase. What proceeds I'm using for a project in South Africa, trying to make, at the moment I'm working on trying to create a college there, but I need a lot of money for it, which I don't have yet. So, in that way, you help us. And who will sell them? You? Or you? Who's the salesman?
Ilan.
Okay. And Ayana also. Huh? Ayana will also sell, because he's a natural. He will sell them to his own mother.
I will.
Yeah. Okay. Finished.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Thank you also.
Holiness, Kanana Swami ki.
Jai!